I have been paying attention recently and noticed that a lot of the creators you see on here that talk about how fabulous it is to leave the United States and move abroad, many of them are white people like myself. And I also had a person of color who DM'd me this morning and was like, "Hey, do you have any tips for moving abroad? Like, I'm really excited to go and everything." And my heart just dropped to my stomach because the tips that I would give to like somebody who is white passing or white like I am are very different than the tips that I would give to somebody who has a different ethnic origin or who has a more ethnic sounding name. And my one recommendation for that would be to, before you start investing in a visa, try and find stories or different experiences from people who have a similar background to you in your target country and see how they're treated there. Because there is this sort of myth that like racism is really bad in the US and it's just better elsewhere. And I think a lot of my fellow creators that are living abroad will tell you that unfortunately, racism is still alive and well in a lot of these other countries that we're talking to you about. And it's really unfortunate. Sometimes the racism is a little different, has a bit of a different flavor. The reasoning behind it will be a little bit unique. How people of different ethnic origins are treated will be different depending on the histories that they have with that country. But these are very important things to keep in mind for your own safety when you move abroad. I would tell you to keep in mind that things are going to be much harder for you than they're going to be for like the cute little blonde who just moved abroad for her study abroad program. I, for example, had a friend who was in real estate while we were living in France in Montpellier, and this person had a group of like two guys that were of Arabic descent and had very Arabic sounding names, very Middle Eastern names, and he was trying to help them find an apartment. And the problem was nobody would take them, not even like the crappy rundown cheap apartments. And these people, they were both engineers. The two guys were engineers. They were both very clean. They each had like a handful of letter of recommendation from previous people that had let them rent. Nobody would let them rent. There was this one place he eventually was able to get them in where they had 3 times the amount of rent. This, what is it called? The guy who owns the place, the owner, I forgot the word, landlord. The landlord had been trying to rent this place out at a much higher price than what it was actually worth for about 6 months now. Nobody would take it because the price was too high. These guys were like, "We will pay you more than what you're asking every month. Like, please just let us live somewhere." And he was like, I don't think so. My friend was eventually able to get them the place, but it was very difficult, much more difficult than had they been white immigrants.